In today's video, the supercharged Honda Pilot is getting a transmission cooler installed, and I'm going to explain how to make your transmission last a long time. Let's go ahead and get started. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Texas Honda Channel. If you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. So today we're going to be putting a transmission cooler on the 2003 Honda Pilot here. It has 199,000 miles and it's still going strong, even with the supercharger on it. And I'm going to explain how this transmission's held up so great. Let's change the filter. This is the transmission filter on the Honda Pilot. It's a really simple thing to replace. There's just a nut here and a barb fitting, kind of like this one up here, like a banjo bolt. And then you undo that and screw this in, which I'll show you that. Valvoline max life. I know a lot of people are like, no, use Honda only. Honda technicians have told me even that this stuff is better in most cases than the Honda transmission fluid. Now they recommend using the Honda transmission fluid, but they say if you can't afford it or the dealership isn't open whenever you need to do it, this stuff is really good to use. And I prefer to use this stuff because I've never had issues. We're going to be doing this transmission cooler. This is actually an oil cooler, but it's been cleaned out very thoroughly, and it works just the same. But I will put a link in the description for an actual transmission cooler. You can use an oil cooler. This has a little bit more capacity than a transmission cooler does typically, so that'll help. It'll add more cooling capabilities. So we'll be installing this. I got these nylon mounting rods that go through, so we can actually just go through here and through the factory radiator, so it's all mounted up properly. So yeah, I'm going to be taking this grill off. It's basically a bunch of these stupid little plastic things. Pop them off flatheads. This grill has already been taken off, but there are some on the inside as well. Once you have this part off, it'll be easy to get in there, pop those out, and then the grill will come off. We'll put the transmission cooler down in there, run the lines down, and go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Okay, so this is basically where I'm thinking about setting it. Maybe scoot it over to the left a little more so that both of these lines right here, actually, scoot it. There we go. They can go straight down to the transmission because transmission is on that side. So what I'm basically going to do for the mounting, it's pretty simple. Just going to use some of these nylon mount rods. I got these at O'Reilly's, by the way. They're over by the lift kits and stuff like that at O'Reilly's. And it's really cheap for these. These are what come with your typical eBay slim fans. They work really good. So that's what we're basically going to do. Just go through this condenser on the back side. Just put the zip locks on and it'll be mounted in place. Now this sits right above the power steering cooler. That's with that long rod there, that two rods that connect into one. So we're gonna make sure it's not touching that because we don't want it to heat soak. So this will actually just be up just a hair more, so that way it's not touching it at all. So we'll do that, then we'll run some line down there to the transmission, put some clamps on the end. We'll go under and explain what's going on down there. It's mounted up there. There's 3 mounting locations on this transmission cooler. This is actually a engine cooler for a 4G63T Mitsubishi Eclipse. So, if you were wondering. But, yeah, now we're just going to run the lines down, and I'm going to show you exactly which line it is and about how long they need to be. Okay, I went ahead and removed the battery box for you guys. It's just 4 12mm bolts. I just wanted to get it out of the way so you could see this. This line right here is a hot transmission fluid coming out of the transmission, going into the subsection of the radiator to be cooled down. It then runs along the bottom side of the radiator, comes out this side down here, moves back over into the transmission as cooled down. So what we're going to do is the outlet, which is the cooled down, that will be going into this transmission cooler as hot. So it'll still be warmed up, but it'll be the cooled down version, and that will run in here. And then it'll get cooled down, and then it'll run out this line here, and from that line it'll run in to this right one. The one on the right is the one that is the cool line, so you want cool fluid going in this line. Everywhere I've done research at says this is the cool one, so that's how I'm going to run it. If there's an issue, I will make an update video or post a pin in the comments, so definitely keep checking on that. But I don't think that I'm wrong on this one because I've done a lot of research. So this one coming out right here will be going into the top right here. So then the outlet of this one will actually be cooled down transmission fluid going into the transmission. So I'm going to go ahead and get the lines measured, see exactly how long, and get them on there. Okay, I went ahead and hooked up the lines. I first removed the old line from the cool side and hooked it up to this line right here, which goes right there to the cool side, runs down, and the one on the right is the cooling side. The one on the left is the hot out of transmission. So the hot heat coming out of transmission goes into the radiator. And down here on the bottom of the radiator is the outlet for the cool. So it'll cool it in the radiator in the bottom subsection, and then it'll come out as cooler fluid, and from there it goes in to the transmission cooler, cools it down even more, and then comes out of that one right there and goes in to the transmission with that right hose. The hose on the right is into the transmission with cool fluid. I had to remove the battery box to give you access so you guys could see it a little bit easier, but it's not required for doing any of this. I'm going to go ahead and take this transmission filter out right here. Since I have easy access so you guys can see, I'm going to go ahead and take this 10mm bolt here out, 10mm up there out, pop this out, and then we can unscrew the filter and screw in the new one. Okay, underneath the pilot on the transmission, on the driver's side, there's going to be a drain bolt right here. And it actually fits your 3/8 ratchet. All you gotta do is just stick it on there, just like that. What I like to do is just give it some pops like that, pull it out, and then get to draining. Ooh. Yeah, that's nice and dark. I don't know if you can see that. That's pretty dark. Definitely time for another transmission drain and fill. Keeping up on the maintenance definitely will keep your transmission alive a lot longer. And this is a magnetic drain plug. And as you can see, there's a bunch of gunk on it that catches any metal particulates that float around in there, which is normal wear, and keeps it from recirculating. So we're going to clean that off with some brake clean and a shop towel, and then we'll reinstall it once this is done draining. Okay, so this transmission fluid is nice and dirty. Something fell in there, don't mind that little piece floating. Yeah, it should be red, not brown. This is definitely burnt and bad. So it's a good thing we did this. I'm gonna go ahead and put 4.5 quarts in. Now, it typically only takes about 4, but since we have the transmission cooler and extra length of lines, we will need to have more in it. We could start at 4 and slowly add until it's full, but I think about 4.25, 4.5 should be perfect. You don't want to go over the line on the dipstick, because then you might get a transmission error code or hard shifting. You don't want to go below the dot on the transmission dipstick, because then you could get air sucked in and then it'll oxidize and it'll bubble up. It's kind of like how power steering does, which is also not good. It won't cool your transmission effectively. So I'm gonna go ahead and add it in here, and then we'll go from there. Okay, this is how I filled it up. I couldn't find the actual fill bolt anywhere, but I just have a hose right over where the dipstick hole goes, and this does work. I've used it before like this and had no issues. So yeah, that's just basically how I filled it up. We got 4.25 quarts in. I put the quarter quart in off camera. We're gonna start it up after we put it all back together, let it warm up, and then we will check and see what the fluid level's at. You have to do it while it's warm. So we're gonna go ahead and put this back together and see what we got. Okay, now that it's at operating temperature, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the dipstick out, and we're gonna wipe it off. And then we're gonna stick it back in and see where it sits. All right, well, it's right where it needs to be at, so that's good. We didn't underfill it or overfill it. Good to know. I've been driving it for a couple miles now. It's shifting great. So I'm gonna get up to about 30, then I'm gonna step on it and see how it does. We're only at 1 PSI right now because I didn't want to turn it up and break anything. So we're gonna see. Wow, that's doing really good for 1 PSI. Well, transmission fluid is successfully changed and everything's working perfectly still, so we're gonna head back to the house. All right, we just got back. This is the top hot line, and this lower one is the cool line after it's been cooled down. We're gonna measure it with the temp gun. 104, 105 degrees. Now let's measure this lower one. 65 degrees. Crazy how good that thing works. But I'm gonna shut the car off, we'll go over some stuff. Well, there it is, all put back together. You can actually see the transmission cooler in there, and you can see it on the bottom as well. So it does get plenty of airflow, and the fans are constantly sucking it in. I made sure to drain the fluid out of the bucket into the old container, and we'll take that and dispose of it properly at O'Reilly's or AutoZone or something like that. And yeah, it's doing awesome. It's driving great. I can finally turn the boost back up. As you can see, that bolt is all the way out. I need to tighten it back down so we can have more boost. But yeah, transmission fluid was definitely dirty. Needed changed along with that filter, but still drives great. In the next oil change, most likely I'll drain those 4 quarts I just put in out and refill it again, because like I said, you can't flush these transmissions. If you do, you will destroy them. Just trust me on that. They're low flow transmissions. They are designed to not have a lot of pressure and chemicals in there. So heed my warning. Definitely look it up if you don't believe me. But that's how this thing's almost at 200,000 miles, 199,000. We're right there, so close to 200,000, and it's running strong. But yeah, definitely more stuff coming to this. We will get this thing on the dyno, hopefully the next video, if not the video after. See what this thing makes. I'm not shooting for big numbers. I just want to know what it makes, just so I know, just so I know. And so all you guys know how much this pilot will make. But it's looking good and it's running fantastic. I'm super happy with it, and it's almost at 2,000 miles since we put this on. We're at 1,800 and some odd. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy these videos. I enjoy making them. If you do, please hit the like button, drop a comment below, share them around in the groups, and come back for more. So I'll see you guys in the next video. As I like to say, God bless, stay safe, stay awesome.